Let us take a step back and look at the current landscape. We just witnessed a miraculous return after enduring brutal captivity at the hands of the agency. Our favorite hitman came home a changed man. The trauma of that isolation completely rewired his priorities. He came back, looked at his boy, and realized that the life of a mob enforcer is a death sentence for any kind of healthy family dynamic. He went on a father-son vacation, which seemed like a beautiful bonding moment. He is pushing for reconciliations, trying to mend broken fences, and officially cutting ties with the underworld. On the surface, it looks like he is finally settling down to be the father he was always meant to be. But this is where it gets interesting, guys. What if settling down means settling somewhere else entirely? To understand where I am going with this, we have to look at the recent history of how this show handles departures. Do you remember how Finn left our screens? It was not some massive, explosive mob shootout that took him out. It was a quiet, deeply personal tragedy that ended with him leaving town to heal. And more importantly, he did not leave alone. His young daughter, Violet, was eventually taken by her uncle Chase to reunite with her father far away from the drama of this town. They simply faded out of the narrative, moving on to a peaceful life off screen. I am starting to suspect that we are watching the exact same blueprint being rolled out for this father and son duo. When a soap opera wants to write off a legacy character without killing them, they give them a noble reason to leave. For Finn, it was recovery and family. For our reformed enforcer, what could be more noble than taking his teenage son away from the crossfire of a mob war? The streets here are never safe. Even if he steps down, his past will always have a target on his back. If he truly wants to protect his boy, staying in the same zip code as the most powerful mob boss on the eastern seaboard is a terrible strategy. Leaving town is the only logical conclusion to this redemption arc. Let us talk about that recent father-son vacation. We were told it was just a weekend getaway, a chance for them to reconnect after the trauma of his captivity. But think about the timing. You do not just take a casual weekend trip when you are in the middle of extracting yourself from a massive criminal enterprise. You take a trip like that when you have a specific destination in mind. I am entirely convinced that this vacation was not about fishing or camping. It was a scouting mission. He was taking his boy to look at a new home, a new town, a new life, completely off the grid. He wanted to see how the kid felt about breathing fresh air that does not smell like gunpowder and betrayal. Imagine the psychology of that trip. A father who has missed so much time, who has been presumed dead more times than we can count, looking at his son and realizing that the only way to keep him alive is to take him away from everything he knows. He needed to plant the seed. He needed to show him that there is a whole world out there that does not revolve around turf wars and agency conspiracy. That trip was the audition for their future. And based on how closely they have bonded since returning, I would say the audition was a massive success. But leaving is never easy, especially for a teenager. If they are planning to vanish, it means the kid has to say goodbye. And this is a boy who is already carrying so much weight. We already know he is an expert secret keeper. Look at how he handled the truth about his cousin Rocco shooting that rogue agent. He held on to that massive, dangerous secret to protect the people he loves. If his father told him they were leaving for good, he would lock that secret down in his vault. He would not broadcast it. He would start saying his goodbyes in the shadows. Think about the people he would be leaving behind. The heartbreak would be monumental for his grandmother, Alexis, and his aunt, Molly. These women have already lost so much, and the thought of them losing their grandson and nephew is agonizing. The boy knows this. He knows that if he tells them the truth, they will cry, they will beg him to stay, and it will make the departure infinitely harder. So he will do what he always does. He will act tough. He will give them extra long hugs, maybe leave a letter, and slip away in the night. It is the exact kind of stoic, heartbreaking exit that mirrors his father's entire personality. But there is one massive complication in this theory, and her name is Scout. The bond between these siblings is undeniable. They have weathered the storm of their chaotic parents together. Leaving his sister behind would tear him apart. And frankly, I do not think the reformed enforcer would want to leave her behind either. He knows the environment she is in. He knows her father is currently spiraling, recovering from paralysis, and wrapped up in a toxic, dangerous dynamic. If he is planning a great escape to a safe haven, it makes perfect sense that he would want to take her with them. He would want to rescue both kids from the toxicity of their environment. Imagine the covert planning this would require. He is already a master of logistics, a man who can orchestrate a prison break or a mob hit flawlessly. Planning a quiet extraction for two teenagers would be child's play for him. He would be setting up trust funds, securing fake identities if necessary, and finding a quiet suburban house where they could just be normal kids. He would be watching her deal with all this recent teenage drama, seeing the stress on her face, and realizing that she needs this escape just as much as his son does. But wait, let me play devil's advocate for a second. We have to look at the reality of the situation. Would this actually work? Could he really just pack up both kids and drive off into the sunset? I have to argue against myself here because taking the girl means going to war with her biological father, Drew. And right now, Drew is not someone you want to mess with. He is regaining his mobility, he is angry, he is ruthless, and he is deeply unpredictable. He is already warning people not to test him. There is absolutely no way he would just sign over custody and wave goodbye as his daughter is taken out of state. If this escape plan includes the girl, it will not be a quiet exit. It will be a bloodbath. Drew is already feeling cornered by his physical limitations and the blackmail threats surrounding him. If he catches wind that his brother is trying to take his daughter away, it will ignite a family war that could burn the entire city to the ground. So maybe I am wrong about taking her. Maybe the tragic reality is that the boy will have to make the agonizing choice to leave his sister behind to save himself. That choice alone would provide enough emotional drama to fuel a year's worth of storyline. Now, let us step out of the fictional world for a moment and talk about the real world logistics. Because guys, this is the biggest clue of all. We all know the incredible actor behind this iconic character, Steve. We know his life outside the studio. The man is not a superhero who can teleport. He is currently juggling a life that spans across New York, Tennessee, and Los Angeles. He has family commitments in one state, a new life in another, and a grueling filming schedule in California. The sheer physical toll of that kind of commute is unsustainable for anyone, even someone as dedicated as him. In the soap world, real-life logistics almost always dictate on-screen storyline. When an actor needs a break, or when their personal life requires them to step back, the writers have to craft an exit that makes sense. We have seen it a million times. Given Steve's complex geographical commitments, it is highly probable that he needs to step away from the daily grind of a contract role. He simply cannot be in 3 states at once. And if the actor needs to leave, the character has to leave. The writers are using this mob exit storyline as the perfect vehicle to write him out gracefully. Think about how poetic this ending would be. For decades, we watched this man bleed for a criminal empire. We watched him sacrifice his own happiness, his own relationships, and his own peace of mind to protect a mob boss like Sonny. He was a machine, but his time in captivity broke the machine and revealed the man underneath. If his final act on this show is to reject the violence, choose his son, and walk away into the unknown, it would be the ultimate completion of his character arc. It is a far better ending than having him gunned down in an alleyway. But what does that mean for the rest of the canvas? The ripple effects of his departure would be staggering. The mob boss would be left without his most loyal soldier, potentially spiraling into paranoia. The boy's grandmother and aunt would be left with an empty seat at the table. And the sister left behind would have to navigate her tumultuous teenage years without her brother's quiet strength. His absence would create a massive void, shifting the power dynamics and emotional centers of gravity for dozens of characters. It is a bittersweet pill to swallow. On one hand, we want nothing more than for this man to finally find peace. We want him to sit on a porch somewhere, drink a coffee, and watch his son throw a baseball without worrying about a sniper in the trees. We want the happy ending. But on the other hand, A happy ending means we do not get to see him anymore. Drama requires conflict, and if he removes himself from the conflict, his story on our screens is over. It is the ultimate paradox of loving a soap opera character. So, this is where I leave it to you. Are we watching the quiet, methodical dismantling of a legacy? Is this recent vacation the first step in a permanent relocation? And if he does leave, do you think he will manage to take the girl with him? Or will the boy have to leave his sister behind to avoid a war? Do you think this exit will mirror the quiet departure we saw with Finn and Violet? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, guys. Because if you ask me, the bags are already packed and the engine is already running.
Goodbye. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the GH Spoilers Daily channel.